You see, our guest today, for all practical purposes, could be considered a sales machine from my perspective. He is a mega entrepreneur who is the person of interest we talk about on our book and on this show. He has the knowledge, the skill, the desire, the confidence, the likability, the connectivity, and the deep networks to wake up every single week and move the ball down the field. He's bold. He's sometimes controversial, which I like, and he's always colorful, and that is Mr. Grant Cardone. Grant, welcome to Change Your Life Radio.
Coach Burt, you got me blushing over here.
Well, like I said, I've been reading your stuff and studying for the last 3 weeks, and to have you on the show, and came across one of your books in the bookstore, 10X, and we want to have a great conversation with you, and we appreciate you joining us today because our listeners are entrepreneurs, they're business leaders, they're people out there in the world moving and shaking, they're looking to take lower-level resources to higher levels of productivity. And I just thought you would be a good fit for us. So we appreciate you calling in. And so start off this interview by telling us the Grant Cardone story. I mean, go back to when you were not this mega entrepreneur. What turned you on? How did you get started? What were some of the major pivot points in your life?
Well, I started in Lake Charles, Louisiana. My dad died when I was 10. My dad he was very driven to be a successful entrepreneur. And he died when he was 52 years old, young man. I was 10 years old, and it left my mother, a little Italian lady that had never worked. She was basically a mother and a housewife. Big job. Of 3 boys. She's got to figure out how to put these 3 boys through college and on a little bit of life insurance money. So I come from the lower middle class, that middle class, Coach Burt, where it's scary middle class, where you got just enough, but never. It's that grateful middle class where every time you get a meal, you're given the be grateful speech. So I remember being 16 years old, and as much as I loved my mother and the direction, the fear that was embedded in my environment was so great that one day I told her, I said, I will never grow up to live like this. And she was offended by it, but I'm like, look, I'm grateful for school and the clothes and the food, but I don't want to live scared every single day of my life. And I made a decision at 16 years old. I'm going to learn what successful people do so that one day I can be a good example for not living in fear every moment, because basically my dad died of fear. A heart attack is fear. It's a tremendous amount of stress on the body and emotionally, spiritually, and physically on the body that I believe comes from not being sure about your ability to create the future you want. So I went to college, got a degree, got out of college in Lake Charles, Louisiana. There was 24% unemployment where I worked and couldn't get a job. Didn't know if I went to college I wouldn't be able to get a job. I thought college was going to be able to get me a job, but it didn't. And the only job I could land was a sales job. I spent 2 years being a disaster at that, and then finally committed and said, I got to learn this game. I got to learn this thing called selling so that I can one day be a business person.
When you think that, and you created, was that when you created your first information selling system? I mean, was that early on? Because I mean, that's kind of become what you became known for early, right? It kind of propelled your career. And what does that mean when you say information selling? What does that mean for the listener?
Well, what happened was I got out of college with an accounting degree, a good business degree, and I was in. My uncle said you should go try to sell cars. So, and I had done other sales jobs, furniture, clothes. Those kind of things to get through college during the summer. And I went and sold automobiles, and I realized in the automobile industry, this is 25 years ago, nobody gave information. They wouldn't disclose the price. They wouldn't give you payment information. They didn't disclose anything. So I made a decision once I got good at selling, once I made a commitment, okay, I'm going to become a sales professional. And I saw the opportunity, Coach Burt, where nobody was learning anything new. People were not really committed. They were just going to work and being average. And so I got good in the automobile industry and then wrote a book on information-assisted selling and how that would revolutionize the automotive retail dealer. This is before the internet. This is before Lexus and customer satisfaction, et cetera, and became I became a bit of a guru, if you will, in that field, changing that industry. Using this thing called information assisted selling, which is now used by every manufacturer in the country, probably the world, and also now other industries as well, not just automotive, like furniture, other retail, big retailers, even internet social media companies now use this thing called information assisted selling, which is basically getting information to a consumer quicker, faster, with more credibility, and not playing games with people.
So when you come up with that concept, obviously accelerated your business career, and at what point did you start coaching other people? At what point did you say, okay, now I've got something? Obviously, you wrote that book, and you've got, looks like 5 or 6 books out. You got Sell to Survive, The Closer Survival Guide, If You're Not First, You're Last, which was a New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestseller, The 10X Rule, and Sell or Be Sold. When did you say, okay, other people like this, I need to go take it and share it with the world, and I really become a coach to these folks?
Yeah, well, what happened was I was 29 years old when I started my first business, and it was based on consulting car dealers. I went, and car dealers, if you've ever called on car dealers, these are very wealthy people in many cases, very driven, very entrepreneurial. They make a lot of money. I was calling on those people cold. I had no name. No one knew me. I hadn't written a book. I had no brand. I was doing what every small business does. I was getting out of obscurity. I was getting people to know me. It was what you said at the beginning of the show, become a person of interest. I've traveled 3 million miles building a business door to door, making my name known and making my ideas known. They were not accepted in the beginning. These were radical ideas 25 years ago. People were throwing me out. This is ridiculous. We'll never do that. That'll never happen. But I believed in it. I stayed with it. And it finally became something that people today are like, oh gosh, customers have more information. Customers are intelligent. Customers have choices. People want to be taken care of in a different way. And the goal was to change the way people sell things. That was really the goal. It was like, you know, I've been to a lot of workshops and seminars on selling where there's a bit of a manipulation below the strategy. And I didn't want to do that. I'm a straight up guy. I was taught hard work. I believe in ethics. And I also know no idea gets to the marketplace without somebody selling it. So how do I do that? How do I sell? How do I stay excited? How do I push my product into the marketplace? This is way before I was writing books or TV shows or any of that. This is when I'm just starting my first company. And I was the secretary, the receptionist, I was the bookkeeper, I was everything. But at some point, if you want to build a small business, you probably know this, but 21 million out of 28 million small businesses in America have no employees. 0. Okay, that's what I was doing for 3 years. And at some point, I'm like, okay, I have to expand. That means I need people. That means I have to learn how to become a business. But those 3 years were critical because they taught me how to sell to cold clients. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. There was nothing. There was the old-fashioned door-to-door.
Well, it sounds like a topic I was speaking on today is the difference between a show horse and a plow horse. You know, we're here in the South, and, you know, that show horse is all substance but no, all style but no substance. The plow horse gets in there and really grinds it out. They're grinders. I think one's a glider and one's a grinder. It sounds like you went through a period like most entrepreneurs and small business owners at that time, and you really just got in there and grinded it out, door to door, learned the hard way, and then started to build a business that would become, and here's the real beauty of this, is going back to those days in a pretty short period of time. For those people out there in that grind right now, you've turned your business into multiple businesses, including real estate holdings and Cardone Enterprises and technology training and all this. I mean, you've really turned into a mega entrepreneur, but the key lesson was that plow horse period of those 3 years.
Absolutely, and that plow horse, you know, today it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow.
That's good.
And you got to move fast right now. The middle class in America, particularly these small business, I mean, I have an unbelievable amount of passion for the middle class and for small businesses. And small business and the middle class are suffering in this country because they're operating with the wrong formulas. It's not government's fault. They don't help any, but it's certainly not their fault. It's not politics. The problem with the middle class today and most small businesses is they move too slow, they're not aggressive enough, and they think with this concept of just enough. You know, just enough is just enough, the concept of just enough. I'm going to make just enough, save just enough, charge just enough, call on just enough people. It is failing millions and millions of people today. And that's why the middle class is shrinking, because of this concept of just enough and the idea that you would be average. Look, average has become an epidemic in this country.
Yeah, it really has. We're living below the line because of that fear you talked about, that scarcity mindset. So let's talk about, we've got 2 more minutes in this first segment. Let's talk about your concept of 10X and the 10X rule. And so the question I guess I had for the listener that hadn't read the book, is it 10 times more effort? Is it 10 times more results? I mean, help the listener get some clarity about what that 10X means.
The 10X rule is based on a concept. I discovered this when I was 51 years old. I'm 55 now, so this is a new idea for me, but it's 35 years of mistakes. When I was 51 and Lehman had collapsed not too long ago, and the economy rolled over, I'm like, oh my God, man, I did this half wrong. I was out there grinding every day, saving every day, okay, putting it away. I was not the guy that created the Lehman problem or the foreclosure problem. I didn't overborrow. That was not me. But when this economic tragedy happened, it pulled on me as much as it did everybody else, even though I didn't participate in it. But the mistake I made was that my think was never big enough. Compared to other people, I had done unbelievable. But it didn't take into account that you could have something as big as Lehman happen, that you could have a major economic catastrophe. And at that point, I realized I needed to amplify everything in my life. My goals, my targets, my clients. I didn't need to be just great in one vertical. I needed to be great across the horizon. And the 10X rule is basically this. Whatever you think you need, whatever you think you want, how much money you think it would take you to create survivability for your family, multiply times 10. How many customers do you think you need to have? Multiply times 10, because every person in business miscalculates on the downside what it takes to create a surviving business.
I love it. We've got Grant Cardone, American entrepreneur. Had a television show, Turnaround King, the Cardone Zone Talk Radio. And we come back in segment 2. We're going to ask Grant, tell us about your selling philosophy. 3 biggest mistakes a young entrepreneur makes. And we got some great questions about wealth building and everything you need to know right here on Change Your Life Radio. Welcome back to the Coach Micheal Burt Show. 1 hour of transformational radio. We got relevant people, relevant interviews, some remarkable insight. Today's episode 129, coming to you globally at iHeartRadio, here in Nashville, Tennessee on WLAC, Fox News affiliate. And we've got Mr. Grant Cardone, American entrepreneur, speaker, author, consultant, New York Times best-selling author. And here's some of the books: Sell to Survive, The Closer Survival Guide If You're Not First, You're Last, The 10X Rule, Sell or Be Sold. Grant, welcome back to Change Your Life Radio. And one question most people would say, if they watch your videos, if they watch the Cardone Zone, I've watched it on YouTube and listened to you, read your books, describe your basic selling philosophy. If you was walking in and telling somebody, this is from start to finish how Grant Cardone does it, what would you tell them?
Well, number one, look, your life depends on you. You have to get sold on your product, your service, the company, and you. And until that happens, until that happens, nothing happens. So when I go into a company and I start working with them, I was at Morgan Stanley last week. These guys earn $400,000 a year. Average guy in the room earns $400,000. I'm talking to them about their product, their company, and themselves before I even talk about the process. Because if you're not completely sold on that, you, the company, and your offering, then you're just a criminal. And most of your listeners aren't criminals. And if you're not a criminal, you can't push a product or a service or a company you don't believe in. So what happens to people is they start backing out. If your listener has ever found themselves not stopping by a customer to see them or not make that extra call in a day, it is because somewhere you have become unsold on you, your product, or your company. Also, if you're selling on price, if you're using price to sell things, you are no longer sold on you, your company, or your service. And a lot of people are making this mistake today, wanting to avoid price, or let me do my whole presentation and then I'll show you the price. This is how much I believe in my product or service. I'm going to give you my price in the first 60 seconds of my presentation. And then I'm going to spend the rest of my time presenting why the price is what it is. So my selling approach is going to be very tight. It's going to be short. It's not going to be long the way the old guys used to teach it. The longer you spend with somebody, the better off you are. Not today. Today it's about cheetahs, not zebras. Right?
That's right.
And so I know I only have so much time with a customer. Big clients have even less time. People that have money have less time than people that don't have money. People have choices today. So you have to get in, be completely sold that your value proposition is the best. It is uncomparable. You can't get it any other place. And I don't care if you're selling Coca-Cola cans, Starbucks coffee, flip-on nails for a woman, whatever it is. It can be knocked off somewhere else. Somebody else will sell it cheaper. You have to have something that makes your presentation unique or your product unique in the marketplace, and you got to believe in that thing.
All right, so let's ask this question, and that's great stuff. I agree with you. Time is of importance. A lot of people are still order takers versus deal makers in today's world, which is one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is they're waiting on the deals to come in. Your strategy to build your own personal brand and become a person of interest. I mean, what's your advice for this person out there who says, you know what, I need a personal brand? With the Twitter followers, you got a ton of followers, you're monetizing your group. I mean, what would you speak to that person and say, hey, in today's world, insurance agents need a personal brand. The real estate people need a personal brand. The guys at Morgan Stanley need a personal brand. What's your strategy for that?
4 things you have to do. Number 1, you must get attention. You have to get attention. And attention can be a lot of things, okay? It's actually counterintuitive for people to get attention. They know they need to get attention, but actually most of your education as a kid was not to get attention. Your parents told you, be seen and not heard. Don't get too much attention. And then when you went to high school and college, the deal was, be likable. Be one of the most popular people. Look, in business, this is what you have to do. You have to get attention. You have to get attention that will get criticism, step 2. Step 3, you must get attention that gets haters. You got to get some haters. And number 4, you'll get admiration if you just keep doing what got the criticism and the haters. So here's the steps: attention, criticism, haters, admiration. Whatever you're doing to get attention, I don't care what it is. You go out and scream, you tweet, you put posts on Facebook, you put billboards up around town, you take ads out in the paper. The single biggest problem with small businesses today is they are obscure. People do not have a money problem. They have an attention problem. If nobody knows you, your products don't matter. If nobody knows you, your price will not matter. So you have to go out into the marketplace today and get monster amounts of attention. You don't have to pay for this. There's so many ways to do it today with Twitter, Facebook, Google+, YouTube. I dropped 900 videos on YouTube, free to the public, over an 18-month period of time. That's 900 videos in 18 months. That is massive amounts of attention. That's how I got my TV show. I was giving...
that was going to lead to the question of how did you get the Turnaround King? And, obviously you got the radio show you're working, you got the Turnaround King. How did that come about? Because I think that further solidifies you as this person of interest that has these skill sets.
Yeah, well, when Lehman collapsed, when I realized, oh my gosh, man, I didn't think big enough. I was nurturing basically this automotive sector and a couple of other sectors that needed sales training. And I was like, I was doing good, but then Lehman collapsed, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have had 7 billion people know me, not 7 million people. I need billions. Anybody that's running a company out there, I don't care if it's a little beauty salon on 1st and 2nd Avenue, you need the entire population of planet Earth to know who you are. And when I was 51 years old, I told my wife's a TV actress, and I said, I'm going to get a TV show. The only solution for me going forward, if we survive, is I need every person on planet Earth to know me. And the only way to do that is radio and TV. So I started posting these videos on YouTube. She kind of laughed at me. She believes in me. She's like, you can do anything. But I know she was kind of laughing in the background. And so I started posting these videos on YouTube. I started acting as though I already had a TV show. These are little 2 and 3 minute clips. There's no production value. There's no quality. There's no great graphics, nothing. See, in the first steps, it's quantity, not quality. You don't want to be a perfectionist. You want to be a monster. You need to get your name out. How pretty it looks doesn't matter in the beginning. It's whether you get attention in the beginning. So we started dropping these videos. I'm talking 5 and 6 videos a week about all kind of crazy stuff. But also started clarifying, what is my brand? What is it I do? What is my message? Who am I? Because those videos actually helped me clarify what that was. About 7 months into that, I get a phone call out of New York City. Hey, we saw some videos you have on YouTube. We're interested in you for a TV show. Okay, so now I'm done with the attention. Now I'm into selling. So we're not marketing anymore. I got a lead. So when I think about a client, first I got to create attention. Then I got to identify a client. Then I got to engage that guy. And then I got to convert that opportunity into a sold customer. TV show gets attention. The group in New York, I get attention. Okay, they call me. I identify them. Then I engage them. Hey, why did it take you guys so long to call me? And the lady's like, what? I said, why did it take you guys so long to call me? And she's like, man, you're a character. I said, where are you guys located in New York? Okay, now I'm into converting now. Where are you located in New York? And she says, we're on 62nd Street. I said, I'm going to be on 60th Street on Thursday. I'm going to be 2 blocks from your office Thursday. This was on a Tuesday. And she says, hold on 1 second. She put her hand over the phone and says, Glenn, he's going to be here Thursday. She's calling across the room. They're excited. And Glenn comes pattering across the office. I can hear his steps running. He picks up the phone. Are you really going to be here Thursday? I said, yeah, I'm going to be here Thursday. He's like, let's meet up. I hang up the phone with them. I get my assistant, and I said, Jen, get me a flight to New York on Thursday.
I love it. I love it. We've got Grant Cardone, best-selling author. He had that show, Turnaround King, Cardone Zone. This guy's got a lot of energy, and he's going to get you excited about your business. When we come back, we're going to ask him about scalability. How does he feed this energy into his company so that everybody thinks and acts like he does? How do you get attention for your small business? That's exposure. And you're hearing it exclusively right here on Change Your Life Radio. Welcome back to the Coach Micheal Burt Show. Right here on Change Your Life Radio. Every day we spend time with talent all over the country, the best-selling authors, the thought leaders, the movers and shakers, the 10Xers. That's who we got today. Grant Cardone, top sales expert, top 10 business coach to follow on Twitter. Regularly writes for entrepreneur.com, business leader, Huffington Post, and has got a very solid organization, and I've enjoyed following him. You should follow him, too, along with the other thousands of people that are following Grant and building a mega brand, so we're honored to have him here on Change Your Life Radio. Grant, when it comes to this wealth building strategy, because I've seen some of your videos, I know you did a show on the Cardone Zone on wealth building, how have you scaled your business? I mean, you've got so much energy. One, there's probably a lot of people saying, how do you maintain this level of energy that you have? Because I think you're selling a lot of passion package. You're selling some good energy, number one. And how do you ensure that there's no slippage in your company of this? I mean, obviously, if you're out doing deals or building a company, you're not there all the time to handle all of these things. How do you ensure there's no slippage from your energy to your salespeople to throughout the organization? Because I see that as a problem with small entrepreneurs as they grow their businesses.
Well, it's a great question. It's a challenge for everybody in any business, anybody that's grown anything. Look, I don't expect to be perfect here, but I will not tolerate average. We just moved our offices from Los Angeles to Miami to get away from the insanity of California, and particularly the financial insanity in that state. And when I moved to Miami, 80% of my staff followed me over here. Now, I can tell you I'm not an easy guy to work for, but particularly if you're average, you'll hate me. If you tolerate average in your thinking, your job, it's just not going to work here. So I push people. Look, I've had people leave my company. I've had people be fired. If they're going to leave here, they're going to leave because I pushed them. When I walk in the office, they know I'm here. They know what I expect. They see how hard I work. They see that this is not some gimmick show. This is not some guy that stands on stage and says one thing and then he goes home and does something else. Look, I want greatness in every area of my life. And I think it's my obligation. I was telling my 3-year-old the other night, Papa's leaving town. Oh, Papa, don't leave town. Baby, I'm leaving town because I need to be a good example for you. I don't just need to buy her food and clothes and shoes. I don't need to leave her money. I need to be a good example so when she grows up, she'll remember, my Papa worked. My Papa believed in work. My Papa believed in hard work. My Papa believed in following through. And there's not enough of that going around. I mean, it gives me an unbelievable advantage on my competitors because most of them will not do what I'm doing. Whether it's in my real estate company or my software company or in our trainings, our books. I wrote 5 books after Lehman collapsed, Coach. The average American reads 1 book a year. I wrote 5 in the last 4 years. So I think the way to stay excited is to stay in the game, man. Don't be a spectator.
Well, exactly. Get off the bench, get in the game, be that plow horse versus that show horse. So talk to the listener about how you maintain this level of energy that you have. And coincidentally, I'm going to be in L.A. tomorrow, from Nashville to L.A. to Maui for an event in Hawaii. And talk to the listener about how you maintain this level of energy. Do you take many retirements? How do you keep this pace going? Because you said yourself you're in your mid-50s, right? And
yeah, I'm 55 years old.
You got the energy of a 25, 30-year-old. So for the person out there going, man, I can't go at the pace that guy goes. Talk to them about how you do that.
Yeah, and the truth is it's easier to go at this pace than it is the other one. Look, your car's got a brake and it's on an accelerator, okay? So you want to use the accelerator. Just pull the brake out of the car. You don't need it. Get out in front of everybody where you don't have to worry about braking. So if you go to NASCAR and there's a wreck in front of you, those guys don't brake. Those guys drive through the accident. Middle class America, the United States of America is on a crash course to serious problems. I know you, without even knowing everything about you, I know you would agree with that. So look, you want to accelerate through the wreck that's about to happen. We have not seen the worst of what's happening. So I'm getting up every day. I operate on one thing. It's not motivation. This isn't walking on coals, some kind of, I'm going to get all jacked up, look in the mirror and puff myself up. I'm operating on one word, duty. This is my duty. It is my duty, my obligation, and my responsibility to create success for myself, me and my wife, my wife and my family, and my companies, and my customers. It is my duty. It's my spiritual obligation to create success for myself. I don't think it's an option. So the guy that's like, man, I can't run at your speed. That's because you're not running on duty.
That's right. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. So you accelerate what you said for the listener. I want to come back to you accelerate through the wreck that's about to happen. And that's a very strong takeaway.
Yeah, you want to be just all the way down, just barrel through the wreck because it's already here. They talk about this physical cliff. We've been off of that. We're just waiting for the car to crash in the ditch.
All right, so talk about the breakthroughs. I mean, lots of listeners that listen to this show come for one reason. They're at a place of pain. They're a place of potential. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired of something in their life, or they can see themselves being better than they currently are, which is a positive vision, this idea of kinetic energy that's stored until utilized, and something comes along and serves as a thunderbolt for their life. Your breakthrough that you had, was it one thing? Was it two things? Was it organic or was it intentional? Did you say, I want to go from here to there, I want to be an international guru in sales that other people look to? I mean, talk to us about how you had that breakthrough and when that moment was.
Well, I've had two major breakthroughs in my life. I was 25 years old. I had just got out of a treatment facility for drug addiction. I was broke. I had to move back into my mother's house. And I'm like, man, this is not what I was planning on when I was 16. Okay, son, you got to get your game on now. I was in a sales industry that I didn't like. And one day I said to myself, okay, you're not going to quit this industry until you reach the top 1% of it. Then quit. That was a big breakthrough for me. Once I started getting some momentum, I'm like, man, this is good. I could be successful. What I know today is anybody can do that. Anybody, once you decide it's not an option, and then start, reading books. That's what I was doing at 25, 26, 27 years old, 29. I'm reading, I'm consuming content. I surround myself with different people. The second big breakthrough, probably way bigger than the one when I was 25, was this one that I referred to earlier when Lehman collapsed. The Lehman collapse, the economic collapse of 2008 terrified me. I watched 25 years of wealth literally go out with the tide. I didn't do any of the crazy stuff. I've never borrowed a lot of money. I didn't do government loans. I didn't do 100% no money down stuff. I'm in real estate. I didn't do any of that stuff. But because of the severity of the situation, it affected all my businesses. And I realized at that time, I'm like, this is never, ever going to happen to me again. I'm one of the good guys. I'm not a scam. I have good products. I bring good products to the marketplace. I service people. I probably 80% of what we do here, we don't get paid for. And so that was a big turning point to say, I need to go global. I can't depend on the United States or Barack Obama or the next group of political people.
I'm with you. All right, that takes us into a crucial conversation. Brought to you by our Quality Landscape Management, my good friends, Dean Higbee. He takes care of Coach's Yard, all that stuff up there by the swimming pool. And man, he does a great job. Every show, we like to have a crucial conversation with the listener because that's what good coaches do. Grant, what's the 3 takeaways that the listener needs to walk away with today on your concept 10X or any of your concepts that you think they really need to hear?
Number 1, you need to take away success is your duty. Quit playing with it as an option or a possibility or a variable. Success is your duty. It is your obligation. It is your responsibility to bring home the bacon, to make the business work, to dominate your competition. That is your duty. Number 2, be great. Don't be average. Be great. Be exceptional. Average is an epidemic in this country. If you want to separate yourself from other people in the marketplace, just be great. It is a commodity in the greatest of shortages. And the last thing I would tell people is take so much action that people think you are superhuman. Take action to such levels that you end up with problems so big, so juicy, with so much meat on the bone that you're enthralled and excited and enthusiastic every day about what you're going to work to do.
Powerful stuff. Grant Cardone, the 10X rule. And we come back in segment 4. We're going to put a bow around this and ask him 1 or 2 more great questions. You're listening right here to Coach Micheal Burt, and this is Change Your Life Radio. Welcome back to the Coach Micheal Burt Show. 1 hour of transformational radio. We have remarkable insight, remarkable interviews, some of the top thought leaders in this country, the movers and shakers. As we've been talking about on this show, the plow horses versus the show horses. And today we got Grant Cardone, best-selling author, big-time entrepreneur. He's got his own show, the Cardone Zone, and you can find him lots of places on Twitter, Facebook. I loved watching his YouTube videos. If you go to his YouTube channel, and lots of value. If you're a person out there who's interested in being a big-time entrepreneur, if you're a salesperson out there, if you're just somebody looking for some energy, and this guy has got it. He has got the total package, and he's delivering the goods for you. Check out his book, 10X Rule, and take your deal to the next level. And that's why you're listening to Change Your Life Radio. So, Grant, just a few more questions, and we're going to let you tell us what's going on in your life next. You told us you just moved offices to Miami down there, so that's great. And when you think about idea generation, you have an idea, and you say, we can make money with this idea. Does that come from you, to your team, to the market? I mean, to walk the listener to how you monetize your ideas, because you got lots of thoughts, lots of ideas. How do you harness those and say, these are the top 2 or 3 ideas we're going to go with?
Well, the first thing that idea has to do, look, I know a lot of people with a lot of ideas. They're just not business ideas. You know, I had a guy tell me the other day, he's like, I got this business idea. I'm like, I do that. There's no business behind that idea. If the idea doesn't drive revenue, it's not a business. So now I'm not a guy, I don't take companies public. I don't go raise money. I don't go spend $30 million and then try to sell it to the marketplace. I'm a small business owner that's trying to drive revenue from a product or an idea or a service. So I give myself a very short period of time for that company to drive revenue. So it's got to drive revenue. Look, revenue is God in economics. And so if your product, number one, you need to sell enough of it at prices high enough in order to drive revenue that you can keep. Otherwise, it's not a business idea.
That's right. So you got lots of people with ideas that are thinkers, but they don't really have an idea they can sink their teeth into and drive some serious revenue. And so for the people that don't know what your companies do, when it comes to some of this, explain to the listener, we got a minute and a half left in the show, just a quick bit about what your company does for people, for all the listeners.
Well, Grant Cardone Enterprises basically provides sales training and business development for small businesses around America and the world now, and gives them direction on what they can do in this new economy. Again, these 4 books were written since the economic implosion, and they were designed not to first get me through it. I was basically mapping out what me and my family could do to rebuild our businesses. And these 4 books, Sell or Be Sold, Closer Survival Guide, If You're Not First, You're Last, which is a tremendous book on building pipelines of clients. And then the last one, the 10X Rule, that will literally wake up a dead person. If that book doesn't wake you up, you are dead. Just go ahead, go to the graveyard and make it official, okay? Those books basically teach people how to operate, even a brand new business, how to operate it, scale it up to where it's a survivable business going forward in the future.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And it's right. If you listen to Grant Cardone and you're not alive after the interview, I'm telling you, you need to check your pulse, because he is right on the money. What is next for Grant Cardone? We got 1 minute.
Well, our goal is to go global right now. We're working on markets like Mexico, all of Latin America. That was another reason for the move to Miami. And to go also to Europe. I'm working on a TV show that should come back out this year on one of the major networks. A radio show that we're in syndication for. And look, I mean, the goal is basically to make my name synonymous with the new way to sell. And that would be to sell with integrity and to really make companies viable.
Awesome. This has been one of the best interviews we've ever done. 128 shows, and this was solid. Grant Cardone, top sales guru. You can find it at entrepreneur.com, the Huffington Post Business Insider. Go to grantcardone.com. Follow him on Twitter at Grant Cardone. And man, we sure do appreciate you. We believe everybody needs a coach in life. And we appreciate you letting us be ours this week. Have a great week, everybody. This is Coach Micheal Burt.